Thank you very much, Zizi. I would like to indicate that the 11 commissions considered the recommendations of the 5th National Policy Conference, the consolidated reports from the PGCs, as well as issues raised in the reports of the National Executive Committee. As presented by the President, Secretary General, and Treasurer General. Commissions noted the extensive and robust discussions during the 5-day policy conference and subsequent discussions in branches and provincial general councils. It was clear from the contribution of branch delegates to conference across commissions that BGMs engaged with the National Policy Conference recommendations. Conference salutes branches for taking their constitutional responsibility seriously. Commissions agreed with the challenges identified by the NPC and further noted that we face a major challenge, not of diagnosis and responses, but of implementation. The Commission therefore recommended that the 54th National Conference ratifies the recommendation from the 5th National Policy Conference on which there were consensus, and further recommends that areas where options have not been dealt with be finalized by the National Executive Committee or referred to structures for discussions towards the National General Council. The commissions made the following additional recommendation to be processed by the National Executive Committee, noting that due to shortage of time, it was not canvassed with all commissions and therefore not exhaustively discussed. On the work of branches in the community, the commission agree with the establishment of 2 membership categories, with supporters as membership category, and proposed branches should rather be involved in community engagement and activities. Implement a modern, technologically enabled membership system that will speed up the delivery of membership cards and allow for electronic membership renewal. In line with the Polokwane resolution, resource branches, including implementing the resolution to allocate a portion or the whole membership fee to branches. ANC branches must have a visible presence in communities through offices which can also serve our communities and strengthen links with ANC councillors. Ensure compulsory branch induction based on the ANC branch manual adopted. Review ward-based branches. Consider the establishment of international ANC structures in countries with a large South African diaspora like Kingdom. Strengthen sub-branches on membership recruitment, linking our targets with the size of the population. For instance, 1 household on ANC member. The ANC should ensure that leaders deployed in government go through compulsory, regular, and ongoing development in addition to the responsibility of individuals to continually develop themselves. On elections, we agreed that we must implement the resolution on maintaining full-time election capacity at national, provincial, and regional level. In selecting ANC councillors, our process should start with communities before finalization by the ANC. On the alliance, we must continue to build a strong alliance and urgently convene a political council of the alliance to develop a structured program to discuss the different positions held by alliance partners on the configuration of the alliance. On sectoral work, recognizing the need to strengthen sectoral work across society, recommendation, Commission made the following additions. Given the importance of the women and youth in our society, the National Executive must support the Youth League and Women's League to fulfill their missions. For the Youth League to organize, lead, and champion the interest of young people in society and the ANC. And for the ANC Women's League to mobilize, organize, and champion a cause. The ANC must also ensure that it champions gender equality in the organization and society so that it is not only left as the task of the ANC Women's League. Given the changes in demographics and in particular our young population, Conference should advise the Youth League to consider its cut-off age to be in line with its youthful constituency, no more 37-year-olds. Reconsider the electoral branches so as to enhance the ANC's ability to reach different sectors and lead society, for instance, in universities. Strengthen organizational work among minorities and implement a focused program to build non-racialism. Discuss with the Youth League the process of the SRC elections to be contested primarily by SASCO, supported by the Progressive Youth Alliance, not the other way around. The ANC Youth League participate in these processes to build the hegemony of the progressive forces. On regions and sub-regions. Sub-regions should not be linked to municipal boundaries. On ANC electoral processes in the ANC and managing succession, the NEC should process the proposal that ANC members vote directly for the NEC members for discussions towards the National General Council. Support the NPC recommendation for capping the percentage of NEC members deployed in government. Establish a permanent election commission in the ANC that is not composed of elected leadership with original powers, responsible for managing the election of ANC leadership at all levels. Ensure that those contesting leadership position declare their interests, including the amount and sources of money for campaigning. Also deal with conflict of interest in candidate selection of public office. Before I left plenary, there was a rider on this point to say that this matter must be open for discussion going forward in relation to how we approach this, precisely because the question of people declaring themselves candidates must find expression in the ANC processes, not just an individual cause. But should there be such a process, the question of money, the branding of vehicles and all of that, it must be known that you've got money, but where does it come from? So that we don't entertain the question of money laundering and all other things. Because in terms of the law, that can lead to racketeering and many other things. And arrest. The election of leadership in all structures must ensure continuity as well as renewal. The NEC should manage the two centers of power after National Conference. You know the two centers of power. Yes, that is what we say, that the National Executive Committee must actually manage that particular process. Consideration should be given to extending the provision for gender equity to the top officials' positions in all structures. Because the question of gender equity apply across. Now the proposal here, it says that it must consider equity on the top 6 so that we don't end up with the bloodbath we have seen in relation to the proposals that must be processed in the National General Council. On the Council of Elders proposes the establishment of a Council of Elders consisting of eminent ANC leaders, including former senior officials, presidents, SGs, etc., to advise and engage on challenges facing the movement, on ANC credibility and integrity, dealing with, implement the National Executive Committee resolution on state capture, including the expeditious establishment of a judicial commission of inquiry. On the Integrity Commission, the establishment and composition, powers and functions of the Integrity Committee should be provided for in the ANC Constitution. It should have original powers and its decisions should be binding. It must report on its work to the National Executive Committee, to the National Conference. On discipline, we need to introduce clear dispute resolution mechanisms to tackle organizational matters, to combat as the first resort for resolving conflicts. It should be a last resort. The relevant structures must investigate on allegations of gatekeeping. On ex-combatants, note the work started by the outgoing NEC to investigate the issues relating to MKMVA and the MK Council, and mandate the incoming NEC to facilitate unity and inclusion of all combatants. On the battle of ideas, develop protocols aimed at guiding conduct on social media to be included in our code of conduct. In conclusion, the commissions therefore recommended that the 54th National Conference ratifies the recommendations from the 5th National Policy Conference on which there were consensus. 2, further recommends that conference mandates the NEC on areas where options have not been dealt with, and the additional recommendation from conference commissions to finalize this or refer to structures for discussions towards the National General Council as we deal with organizational renewal and design in the organization. Lastly, number 3, mandate the NEC to drive a sustained program of organizational renewal and report on such to the National General Council. Thank you.